Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. DJ here. I'm just going to move my thing down here. DJ, welcome to Hands-on SAP Dev with QMacro. We're back. I'm really glad to be back. Good morning, good morning. Let me just move this out of the way so I can see what's going on here. I'm coming to you live from the Innovation and Equipped offices today here in Utrecht, in the Netherlands, where I'll be running a code jam later on today. I'm in a little office here, which is very nice and quiet. It's like one of these telephone offices where you have phone calls. Thank you, Srikanth. Yeah, welcome back. Yes, seems like it's been a while. It's only been just over a week. I'll explain shortly what's been going on, but basically, yeah, it's good to be back. Hey, good morning, Leo, is that the right pronunciation? Robert, good morning. Howdy. Helmut, howdy. And Ronnie, good morning to Norway. Good morning from Norway, good morning to Norway. It's great to have, thank you, Leo. It's great to have you all on the stream. So like I say, I'm here in Utrecht. What a wonderful city. And there's a code jam starting this afternoon, actually. So I've got some time to do this live stream this morning. And, Robert, okay, I'll see you later today. Awesome. And great offices here. It's in like a new sort of light industrial area. Really nice people here. They're just setting up for the code jam. This is going to be an hour, as usual. I may extend, because I've got a little bit of time between the end of this live stream and the code jam. Normally it's sort of, finish the live stream and straight into the code jam. Here we go. And we have one of the wonderful hosts here, which I'm sure you know, this chap here. It's, let me just move so you can see what's on the, good morning, to see what's on the OBS here. Yeah, good morning. So, in fact, I'm going to unplug this so we can both use the speaker here. Oh, there we go. It's working again, I think. So, Wim, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us a little bit. I'll put this in here. Or you don't have to put that in there. But tell us a little bit about, just use the microphone here, about what's happening today and where we are.
Actually, today we are at the Innovation Office, actually close to Utrecht. And this afternoon we have a code jam on a very nice topic, which is Cloud Application Programming Model. I really enjoyed the one myself in Frankfurt, so that's why I thought let's host one in the Netherlands. And I'm very happy that DJ is going to explain this today.
I'm very happy to be here, actually.
It's really nice
great. I'm just saying what a really nice feel this office has.
Thank you.
Really good.
We're putting up all the chairs and everything to welcome everybody this afternoon. So.
Yes, I think in fact there's some pictures that you've posted on Twitter already, and Fred thinks it looks more like an inside track, but we will see, Fred. Don't worry, all will be revealed in terms of logistics. So
yes.
See you later, Fred. And Robert is on the call on the live stream as well, Robertinho. So he'll be here later as well. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Enjoy.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
And I'll see you shortly.
Sure.
They're making me very welcome here. It's lovely. I've had some coffee. Is that the right one? Yes, I've had some coffee. I've had half of that stroopwafel. Stroopwafel? How do you pronounce that? Everywhere, exactly. So let me move this back down again. Yes, so you can hear me now. Yes, exactly. Nappy, good morning. And who else have we got on the stream? Douglas, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. And also, who else have we got here? Mark, Thulium 3. Excellent. Okay, so a little bit of a weird week or week and a half. I was going to do a live stream last week on Wednesday, but basically there's things going on sort of back home. Basically, my father's not very well, and so it was a bit of a nightmare. So that's the reason I've been slightly distracted, and that's also the reason this one is going to be a bit of a reset, a bit of a random thing. So I apologise for being a little bit sort of out of it last week. And Friday last week, as you probably know, I was in Wrocław in Poland, along with my colleague Max, and also, of course, Vitali. We were doing like a double code jam there, which was great. But the offices where we were, they had blocked the ports to the Twitch servers, the ingest servers, so it was a little bit difficult to do a live stream there. So this is the first live stream for about a week and a half. So thanks for joining, I really appreciate it. Like I say, I wanted to do a bit of a reset because I haven't had time really to sort of catch up with things, but I've got an idea, and it might be a bit of fun. But before we get started with that, let me switch to where's my OBS here? Let me switch to my screen sharing. You know what? There's a number of folks on the Live Coders team. I can think of people like Jeff Fritz, for example. He uses this sort of Stream Deck, which is this a little physical device with buttons, and you can switch between different scenes. I'm now finding that I could do with that now to switch between scenes without having to switch back to OBS and then using my mouse and go into switching here. But anyway, that's another story. I'm going to go to my main laptop and move that out of the way. And yeah, let's get going. In fact, I've got something up here. I want to start with a couple of things, and then we'll get into the main subject. So about 2 weeks ago, we had Nabhit and Ronnie on a Wednesday stream, and one of the things that Ronnie took us through was his personal Dotfiles repo on GitHub. And I've been fascinated with Dotfiles for a while now. By the way, let me just check. I'm just going to switch back to OBS just to make sure that things are working okay. Yes, okay, good. Ooh. So you can see my face, I hope, and see my chat window here on the right hand side, hopefully. So yeah, anyway, Ronnie was showing us his Dotfiles, and that inspired me to sort of get off my backside and do it properly. I had sort of shared some of my Dotfile information before in a sort of random way, but what I've done is I've tidied everything up and republished my Dotfiles in the form of a repo in a new namespace. This is the SAP samples namespace, so it doesn't belong to me. The SAP samples namespace is so new, it's only got 2 repos in it, and those 2 repos happen to be mine. So the SAP, we've got the normal SAP namespace. Is namespace the right word here? The SAP namespace with lots of repos, over 400 repos. But the sample code, when we sort of use the outbound process for open source and sort of to come up with sample code for code jams and for things like what I'm going to show you, we've got a new namespace called SAP samples, and you should expect to see some of the repos that are existing in the SAP namespace moving over to SAP samples here. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter what it's called, but what matters, at least to me, was that I've been allowed to, oh there we go, there's more, there's 2 more. Those are very new, they've been moved over as well. I've been allowed to publish my Dotfiles, which are here. So if you have a look at this repo, I'm going to paste the link in there. I just want to take you through it very briefly. So this is based upon something I think that Ronnie pointed to. So Matthias Beinen, he's got a Dotfile repo here, and the thing that I stole, in the best sense of the word, from his Dotfiles repo, and I think this is also what Ronnie is using, is this bootstrap script. So I'll show you my bootstrap script, and this should explain what you need to do if you want to use this Dotfile repo and sort of modify it, of course, to your own purposes, which is, of course, the whole point of Dotfiles. The whole point of Dotfiles is to see how other people set up their environment and learn from that and maybe pick up a few tips and tricks. So the idea is that you clone the repo, and then you go into the dot, and you clone it normally by convention into .dotfiles, and then you run this bootstrap script, and the bootstrap script is this thing here, which is basically a single function, effectively, which uses rsync to synchronize the files between the .files repo directory and where they should be, i.e. your home directory. Oh, that's interesting, Helmut. Anyone know how to follow a GitHub namespace? Ooh, that's very interesting. Let's have a look. There's the whole namespace. There's nothing I've ever noted. I've never looked at this before. But sorry, I just noticed what Mark put there. You show me your .files and I'll show you mine. Exactly. That's what it's all about. Follow a namespace. That's interesting. I'm only aware that you can follow individual repos. But yeah, if anybody can figure that out, whether it's possible or not, that'd be really cool too. That's a good point, actually. I wonder if there's an RSS feed that you can get from a namespace within GitHub. GitHub namespace RSS feed. For GitHub pages, no. Okay, let's not go there right now. Good question though. Okay, so so this is basically using rsync to move files apart from a few of the files apart from the .git directory itself, as in the repo mechanisms. This Mac specific thing here always crops up. The script itself and the README, don't move those, but move everything else from where we are, which is of course in the .files directory, to the home directory, which is there, and then rerun the profile, and you're all good. So yeah, have a play around with this. It's probably worth doing this maybe in a Docker, a fresh Docker-based sort of shell. We covered that in a previous episode, and have a look, because I would love to see your Docker files, your .files too. In my vimrc, by the way, I've started to use a new plugin manager called Vim Plug, which is super useful, really nice, and I've also reduced the number of plugins. I'm also using this Groovebox plugin, which is basically a really nice color scheme for Vim, which I tweeted about the other day. Anyway, so have a look at that. There's the .files. There's the SAP samples, and this, by the way, is the content of the CAP Node.js code jam that I'm going to be using today. So what I'm trying to do is publish the code jam content that I create publicly, so that people can do it sort of in their own time as well if they want to. More on that shortly. Something that I want to do today is sort of try and combine. What I've been struggling with in the past couple of weeks is looking for things to do here, and I know I'm behind on the CAP stuff, and I do want to catch up. I spoke to people like Volker and Ronnie and Fred and Gregor, and we're all, including me, interested in going further with CAP and starting to look at the authentication parts. But I need to do a little bit more digging to make sure I've got the most up-to-date information, and this is also being developed and sort of changing as we speak. So it's just a question of me catching up with things, hopefully over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll start talking about that again. In fact, I did notice, I don't know whether you folks have noticed, and I've upgraded it already, there is a new version of the CDS command line, 3.10, which is really, really nice to see. So this is, the updates happen, the updates happen sort of maybe every 2 weeks, every 3, every 4 weeks. So 3.7.1 was the previous version. We're now at 3.10. But the really nice thing as well, nice for me and for some of us on the stream here, is that the team have also now started to make available one of the SAP Scheme CDS packages that wasn't available in the SAP NPM registry before, which is the CDS LSP. And CDS LSP, if you remember, is one of the two packages inside the VSIX tools.hana, inside of the CDS language support extension for VS Code. LSP stands, of course, as you know, for Language Server Protocol, and I'm waiting to be able to publish my Vim CDS plugin, and there's a process that I need to go through for that. But also, there was no point in publishing it until now, because it would have been too much effort to download the VS Code CDS file here, unzip it like we've done before, extract the directory that containing CDS LSP, and then place it somewhere else. But now, because I spoke to the folks and they were very kind enough to sort of agree that why not publish the CDS LSP package in the SAP NPM registry, and they have. So we can now say, and have a look, npm info SAP CDS LSP. And there we go. So it was published 2 days ago. This is brand new. This is the first public version. Well, this is the first publicly available through the SAP NPM registry version of CDS LSP. And as you can see here, it uses the CDS compiler, and it also uses various other NPM packages, including some VS Code language server packages as well. So what we could do next Wednesday is, in our sort of off-piste stuff, is, because I've got here my Vim CDS plugin directory here, and this is the result of me manually copying the CDS LSP package into here. But what we'll do is we'll modify this so that we can pull in the CDS LSP package as an npm repo with npm. If anybody's got any idea of how we should best do that, what I'm thinking is actually to create or initialize this CDS or this Vim CDS directory as, in fact, rather than talk about it, let's just do it very quickly. If I do an npm init in the Vim CDS LSP package here, we've now got a package.json, and then we can also then install npm install SAP CDS LSP locally, which then will be made available inside a node modules directory. So there's CDS LSP there. So next Wednesday maybe we'll figure out how to rewire the Vim plugin so that it finds the server runtime, which is here, of course, in the implementation. Oops, implementation. Where is it? Where's it gone? Oh, there it is, there, inside there. And to be able to start that up. Yeah, we'll do that next Wednesday. Oh, so, Ronnie, I found references to GitHub APIs that let you follow organizations in the same way as persons. Ooh, nice. That's a good idea. And Napit, they have some hacks of post requests as per Google. Interesting. So that, I'm just wondering why that is a post request, Napit, because that looks like it's probably a, I don't know, follow. Is that a request that has side effects and therefore needs post? Yeah, let's have a think about that as well. Awesome. Nice work, folks. Okay, so anyway, that's that. So we now have CDS LSP as a package in the SAP NPM registry, which is awesome. So we'll look at that next Wednesday. What I wanted to do today is take a look at or combine something I need to prepare anyway, with doing it sort of live with you folks. I've not really done this before. What I'm trying to do is merge the stuff I have to do, all the stuff I have on my plate, with the live stream as well, to see how that goes. I'm preparing a code jam for next month, and it's on the subject of SAP Cloud Platform in general, but specifically on the subject of sort of connectivity and the SAP Cloud Platform workflow service. So what I thought I'd do is start preparing that live here, because why not? Because the whole point of, well, not the whole point, but one of the points of live streaming is, for us to work together and for you to see me, naked, as it were, nothing prepared, and making lots of mistakes, and learning. We can learn from each other there. Okay, that's okay. So okay, it posts to your account. Interesting. Okay, no, definitely worth looking into. I played around with the GitHub API a little bit a long time ago. Definitely worth looking into. So that brings me back to something here. Let's move this out of the way. Something here. I saw a tweet from Nabi, a good friend of the community, Nabi Zamani, who's been doing some awesome stuff. This tweet was this morning, and it pointed to he was pointing to one post in a series of posts that he's been making, and it's sort of the perfect start for where I want to go here. So he wrote a really nice blog post about installing SAP Cloud Connector in Docker and connecting it to SAP Cloud Platform. And in fact, here is his repo. So the reason I'm looking at this is that one of the components of the Cloud Platform workflow code jam I want to have is for the attendees to install their own Cloud Connector, because I think it's important to understand how to use the Cloud Connector to make available on-premises. I'm going to say on-premise, even though it's wrong. On-premise, it should be on-premises or on-prem, but on-premise doesn't mean what we think it means. But anyway, I'm going to say the phrase on-premise, to make available resources that are on-premise to services and applications in SAP Cloud Platform. But because of the different machines and workstation setups that CodeGem attendees will have, Docker seems a really nice common denominator that we can sort of require people to have pre-installed. And we can use Docker then to run all sorts of things that would otherwise need sort of root privileges or administrative privileges. And the other nice thing about Docker is that then, if you want to get rid of it afterwards, it's a nice clean removal, because all you do is remove the container, and if you want to, remove the image. So I want to install Cloud Container in Docker. I'm going to use ES5, the SAP ES5, ES5 SAP Gateway Demo System. There. ES5 is, as you probably know, our latest gateway ABAP stack. ES5 is the SID, and it's available. It's available publicly on the internet, as it were. But we're going to sort of pretend that it's on-premise. So we're going to use the Cloud Connector to connect to ES5 and make resources in ES5 available to Cloud Platform. So we've got ES5. We've got the Cloud Connector in a Docker container. And then we can start building a workflow definition using SAP Web IDE to consume or to use a service task to consume information from ES5 via the Cloud Connector, via this on-premise destination definition that we'll do. So that's what I want to do, because it helps me, and maybe it's interesting to you folks as well. And we can have a play around with service tasks and also script tasks. I would like, we might not get around to it today, but I would like to try at some stage some ES6 features in script tasks. So script tasks are where we can have JavaScript, but at the moment only ES5 is supported. But if we use Babel to transpile our ES6 code into ES5, that might work. Hey Mahesh, hello, welcome, good afternoon Mahesh, nice to see you. And then we can play with all sorts of different bits and pieces in the workflow definition. Give me a shout on the chat if you've played around with the workflow service before. I think it's really interesting and it's a lot of fun as well. So that's what I think we should do. So I'm just going to switch to Nabi's repo here, and let's see, instructions: install Docker, install Git, clone it, and build the Docker image. Okay, yep, fine, and then run it. So let's clone it first of all. Here we go. So I'm going to go to let's go into I've got a directory called Docker builds, which I've got a number of builds in. Me messing around, you can tell I'm messing around because Docker build and Docker build 2, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm going to git clone that. There we go, perfect. So we've got right now, is that big enough? I'm sure it is big enough. We've got right now, I've got Docker running up here, right? There's Docker. I've got a number of images already. Ooh, that's a bit horrible, isn't it? Let's make this full screen for a second. Yeah, there we go. There's a number of images. I'm playing around with using Docker for for CAP-based projects as well, which is nice. If anybody knows how to sort of restrict the number of columns in an image list output in Docker, let me know. But anyway, those are the images, and I don't think I've got anything running right now, or even stopped. No, okay, so there's nothing there right now. So it tells us here, we've got to build the Docker image. So actually, before we do the build, what have we got in here? We've got certificates, README. What's in the certificates? Ah, okay, yeah. The key thing is the Docker file. Let's have a look at the Docker file. So it's based on the CentOS Linux style distribution, cool. And we've got here some labels. So CentOS doesn't use apt, it uses yum. So we're installing various bits and pieces, including wget here, which I've had a quick look at this before, but this is going to be used to download the components that we need. Now, in the code jam, I probably don't want to do that. I want to get the attendees to go to the site and download them themselves so that they can physically, as it were, accept the license agreement and everything. I think it would be remiss of me to have them auto-download, because I think down here, in a really nice way, I mean, this is not a criticism at all, but in a really nice way, we've got here a run command. So this is part of the Docker building the image. So first of all, we start with the base image with CentOS 07, and then the run commands are the things that build extra layers on top of the image, building a new image. So this will install this, and there's a snapshot created, and then we get down here, and here's another build of something. Here's another layer that gets built, which has the downloaded components. And what do we need for SAP Cloud Connector? We need the Cloud Connector itself, SAP CC, and we need also, because the Cloud Connector is a Java application, we need a Java runtime. And what better Java runtime to use for this than the SAP Java runtime, which I think is called. Well, it doesn't sound right when you say SAP machine, SAP machine. Is that what it is? Anyway, so we do a wget to go and get the Cloud Connector. We'll have a look on the tools page to see where this is. Okay, thanks for joining, Mark. Have a great meeting, and see you online again. Then we go and get the JVM, and then what do we do here? Okay, so we unzip. Okay, yeah, we unzip the zip file that's just been downloaded. And then we use RPM. RPM, that's a long time since I've seen RPM. RPM to install the JVM, and then RPM to install the SAP Cloud Connector component, which has been unzipped from there. Okay, let's try that. Let's try that as it is right now. Tools.howdondemand.com. What it's grabbing, I think, is what, of course, I would manually download, which is SAP CC 2.12.01, and the JVM. It's downloading the where are we? It's downloading the RPM. That one there. Okay. In fact, that one there. Version 8.1.053. Okay. There's an updated version. Oh, I wonder if that will work. Let's see. It's probably still available, right? And then what does it do? Lots of comments here. I like the comments. Switch to a bash shell. Okay, cool. That's that there. And then more comments. Right, here we go. Yes. So 8443 is the port, which I'm sure we're all aware is the port that the Cloud Connector listens on for exposing an administration UI. Then switches to user SEC admin and switches to where the Cloud Connector has been installed, and then runs it. Okay, so it's just a big lump of Java here, all sorts of parameters here. Don't you love Java? All sorts of parameters here that just runs the Cloud Connector. So why don't we just try that? So let's just build that right now. So what was the thing that we're told to do? Yeah, just give it a tag. So Docker build, give it a tag. Let's run that, and let's just try. So that is saying build an image, tag it with SAP-CC with that particular tag 2.12.01 there, and dot means this directory, which is where the Docker file should be. So let's just have a look at that. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's using some local mirrors here in the Netherlands. Complete. So that's the install of all the extra tools on the top of CentOS. Yeah, I think I definitely will, for the real thing, I definitely will modify this script to have the attendees download the files, accept the license agreement, download the files, and then we'll modify the Docker file to bring those files in, or to go into the download directory and do it from there. Oh, interesting. 404 not found. So it might be that we have to. Interesting that we have to send Nabi a pull request. Again, I'm not allowed to contribute to any repo before I ask internally, so I have to do that. Maybe I'll just ping Nabi and say, look, we need to update this to 0.55. If we try that, shall we just, yeah, let's modify it. It was 0.55, wasn't it? 0.55, okay, yeah. 0.53. Yeah, there we go. 0.55. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Let's download this. Oh, Napit. Use Docker command with format option to reduce columns, for example, Docker PS format. Napit, what a superstar. That looks really good. Status and image. Awesome. So I guess we can do that. Thank you for that. I guess we can do that for any Docker command. So for the image ls, let's have a look. Let's try that in a second. In fact, let's try that now. Given that we're using tmux. So Docker image ls, first of all, we get all those. So if we say Docker image ls format, what's the format? And then so it's double open curly brackets repository dot repos. I'm guessing. Let's just try that for now. Wow, awesome. And then we could say tab, I guess that is, and then what's that last thing? Size, tag, image ID, created. Oh yeah, how about created? Created, not defined. Oh, okay. What did I do wrong there? I'm sure there's a created, isn't there? Created, tag. Let's try tag. Tag not defined. Maybe we need to look at the documentation, but I'm missing a dot. Sorry, thank you, yes, dot. So let's go back for created, dot created. Thank you. Thanks, Robin and Naveed. Can't evaluate field created in type format image contact. Interesting. Dot created, size. There we go. Okay, done about created. Nice. Okay, so we can imagine using that in other commands as well. Awesome. Okay, I wasn't really checking that over here, but it looks like it's been built. Okay, so if we now do a docker image ls, in fact, did we just catch it there? Yes, look, as if by magic, as we were playing around with the format command, sapcc as an image is now built. So let's go back to the instructions here. Yeah, so create a container running as a daemon. So let's just copy this command and paste it in here and have a look at it before we run it. So docker run, okay, -p expose a port in the container to a port in the host, as in here, because of course it's going to listen on 8443 on localhost, and we want that to be available not just in the container but to us here on this machine here. Might as well have the same port number as well. -h my sapcc, that's is that the name? Oh, that's docker run. Is it -help? Yeah. I've got so used to using tmux's ability to scroll back up through the buffers, which is really cool. cd ef. Oh, h there. H hostname. Okay, give it a hostname. Yes. Okay. Oops. What's going on there? Let's copy that. Hostname. Give it a name, as in give it the running container a name, sapcc. -d I know is detach, as in detach mode, as in run it in the background, and that sapcc is the name of the image, or the tag of the image. So let's try that and see what happens. Okay, and because this is something I've definitely played around with before, because we're using the -d to say detach and run in the background, all we get back from docker run is the ID of the container. So let's have a look now at the docker. It's a bit, yeah, we'll make it a little bit smaller. Let me know if it's too small, but I think it should be okay. Docker PSA, no, still too small. Anyway, up, exited, no idea what that one is. Oh, of course, that, yes, okay. This is the one, sapcc. So it's up, it's been up 29 seconds. Awesome. Okay, so that means, does it, net start, any more things we need to know here? We can start it, we can stop it. Net start. So let's see what's listening on this machine here, on my Mac OS machine. And we've got something listening on 8443, which is the punch through or the proxied thing. So why don't we say, in fact, there's a nice little link here that Nabi provides in his README. Let's open that. Awesome. we have a Cloud Connector, and it's running in a Docker container. There we go. Nice work, Nabi. I shall be using that, or a version of that Docker file, for the code jam. So let's log in. Administrator manages the default password. And I've got here, I've just set up, where is it? I've just set up a new trial account called Workflow Code Jam. Great. I just love that. Workflow Code Jam. So what we'll do is we'll connect this Cloud Connector to my Workflow Code Jam subaccount, my trial subaccount. So current password manage, was that right? I should be switching to my super secret scene in OBS to do that, but anyway, it's a little bit more difficult when I'm using one screen. And I'll save that. And I think the next thing we see in the Cloud Connector administration is the, what initial subaccount do you want to connect this Cloud Connector to? So at the moment, I've got this subaccount here, which I'll just copy that because I'll need that in a minute, won't I? Cloud connectors, there is no Cloud Connector connected to this subaccount. So let's go back in here. Region, this is, of course, so you know what, when I was saying that, Ronnie, I was thinking that I've seen some awesome portables. SAP, in fact, the Frankfurt Code Jam, was it last month, a few weeks ago, we were there, and I remember Christian Braukmuller, C-Basis, he had a really nice portable second screen. Yeah, really, really nice. In fact, I don't know whether you can see this or not, there is a screen right in front of me here, there, right? It's really nice. But I was a little bit, I only noticed it was there about 5 minutes before we started the live stream, and I found that if I make any modifications to any sort of audio or video device, OBS crashes. So I didn't do that, but there's an HDMI cable here. I could plug it in. I'm not going to plug it in now because OBS will crash. So I could use this screen here, but also I'm still a relative beginner at all the different screen resolutions and downscaling, and a little bit of a nightmare doing it. Anyway, yeah, I do need a portable second screen. I do need a portable keyboard as well, and mouse, because I hate this. Anyway, yeah. So NoOpCat, Suze Hinton, one of the live streaming coders that I've learned a lot from. She's got this really nice traveling live stream setup, and there's a video that she's got where she talks through all the different bits and pieces, and she actually carries around her mechanical keyboard, which is very tempting. I need a case for mine, and I'll bring mine as well. Anyway, so where are we? Europe Hort Trial, this is the one. Subaccount is that. Display name, let's have the same thing. And the subaccount user, of course, is just that without the word trial. What is my password for that one? I think it's that. Right. For a location ID, let's put a location ID in. Let's say SAP/CC Docker, just because. If you're not aware, location ID is where you can have multiple cloud connectors connected to the same subaccount. So in order to be able to distinguish one cloud connector from another, you of course need to identify them separately, and this is where the location ID comes in. The default is no location ID, but you can have one as well. What I need is a portable desktop. What I need is to travel less, maybe. I don't know. No, I don't know. That's good. Oh, what's that there? Oh. Destination configuration on the cloud side may have to be adapted when changing or setting location ID. Yes. So that's just a warning saying basically if you change the location ID, which is this, then make sure you change the destinations, which we'll do shortly. So let's go to Firefox. There we go. So now, this was empty before. Now we've got a an instance of the Cloud Connector connected. There's no exposed backend systems at the moment. Okay, so no backend systems are configured. So let's go and fix that as well. By the way, for those of you who can stay on, I'm thinking of extending this live stream. I know that many of you will have to go anyway at the top of the hour, but I'm going to probably go on for another half hour because I've got the time here, because we're not starting this code jam until 1 p.m, which is 10, 11, 12, 1, 3 hours from 3.25 hours from now. So yeah, if you can stay on, great. If you can't, that's also cool. But this is an exception rather than the rule. Okay, so let's go to the cloud to on-premise settings and map ES5, which we're pretending is. I want to pretend is an on-prem system, and make some paths available to it. So first of all, I've played around with ES5 a lot. I was playing around with this the other day, and I think I might use this particular OData service in the workflow code jam. But let's just see. Actually, no. Let's use that. See if we can access it. That's interesting. What's that for? Yes, bonus content. Is this the right ID? Oh, I know. There we go. Right. So yes. So this is a extended cut. Yes, exactly. This is good because we can see that ES5 is up. It's exposing some OData services, and this is one to do with the EPM, Enterprise Procurement Management reference apps. There's a number of reference apps that I think we used in the earlier days of Fury, where there's a shop and there's some other thing, I don't know, some other apps. I can't remember. But this is good. It's just an OData service. That's cool. Remembering username and password pins is the biggest problem world is facing. Yes. Now, Pete, first world problem, but definitely a problem. Yeah, especially when you're getting when your grey cells are not working as well as they used to. But anyway, yeah, no. I did see folks at TechEd last year, 2018. ES5 featured in some of the missions that we were running in the app space in the developer center, and people were having issues authenticating, and that was because basically the client sometimes needs specifying. I think the default client is client 2. If we say SAP ES5 SAP Dev Center, let's go there. In the SAP GUI for HTML, it'll tell us, yeah, ES5 002. Anyway, that's a digression. So we have this now. So let's expose this. And in fact, I like to use that. Where are we? Oh, here we go. So here we go. Let's add an internal system. So ABAP system will do. You have all sorts of different possibilities, but ABAP system will do for this because it is an ABAP system. Now this is this runs HTTPS. Okay, so we connect to this via HTTPS rather than HTTP. So let's select that. So this is a connection from the Cloud Connector, which is on premise as well, as it were, pretend, to ES5, which is also on premise. So it's an internal behind the firewall connection. Oh, Bitwarden. Yes, I've heard people use that. Yes, I think that's a good recommendation. Thank you, Helmut. Internal host. So that's going to be not that SAP ES5 SAP Dev Center spelled incorrectly. .com. Internal port. Now that's going to be 443, which is the standard HTTPS port, right? So it's just SAP ES5 Dev Center.com 443 because it's HTTPS. Okay, good. Now we can specify a virtual cloud side name, and for security reasons, for sort of obfuscation, we don't want to necessarily expose the real name of the system because hackers might be able to, from that, infer other system names, other host names. Family account. See, that's a very modern thing, having a family account on something that manages your passwords for the interwebs. Whatever next. Well, let's call it virtual ES5. And let's change the port as well, 8000. classic random port. Virtual ES5, okay, next. Principal propagation, we're not doing any principal propagation here because we're going to keep it nice and simple. Select host for request header field host, use virtual host. Okay, so yeah, this is when an HTTP request comes in, it obviously passes through the Cloud Connector, which is a proxy, and maybe what this means, I don't know, maybe what this means is that in the request header, in the header of the HTTP request, what gets stuck as a value in the host field. Let's just leave the default. Share a vault with my wife. Description, okay, right, good. Check internal host, why not? Let's see what happens. Processing, reachable. Okay, I think that's, I don't know whether that's just a ping or a very, very simple HTTPS request. But anyway, that's good, it's not bad. Now, if we look back here, we now see, yes, we now see the virtual ES5 is a backend system that's exposed to us, but it has no resources. What does that mean? No resources are available. What that means is that we need to add something here. So while we've exposed or made available that internal system, we haven't made available any resources in it. So we still can't access anything in it unless we sort of whitelist the resources here. Now, I've seen a lot of people do this, okay, which basically says, you know, the URL path as in the relative path after the host name, what I call the path info, because I'm old-fashioned, from the CGI bin days. The path info is slash, as in anything from slash, so anything is accessible. And that's a great way to do it from a, you know, if you're doing a development environment or the system's your own and it's a throwaway system. But actually, let's be a little bit more specific and say SAP OPU OData, as in all, quote unquote, all of the OData services that are available in that backend system. Now, if anybody, this is something I've not seen for a while, OPU. Does anybody know, I think I remember what it means, but does anybody know what OPU stands for? Stick it in the comments, that'd be quite interesting. And also, yeah, path and all subpaths. So yeah, let me know if you remember or know what OPU stands for. It does speak a little bit to the history and the original raison d'etre, although not in France, of Gateway. Yeah, it's a nice historic name. Anyway, so path and all subpaths. Now if we switch back, we can see that resources are available, which is cool. Okay, so that's great. I think this would be a really good exercise using a modified version of Nabi's Docker file, creating a SAP Cloud Platform, SAP Cloud Connector, doing this configuration. But the next thing we should do is, rather than try and start using it in workflow, we should make sure that we can access the backend system and resources in the backend system in a simpler way. And there's one thing that I do, which you may do as well, or you may know about, you may not know about, but I think it's quite useful. So we'll do that, and maybe I'll include this as a part of the exercise as well, which is to use a pretend application that doesn't have any application artifacts in it at all, apart from the routing definitions in neoapp.json. I'll show you, it's easier to show you rather than explain it. But before we do that, of course, we need to create a destination. So let's go into destinations. So I've got no other destinations. These destinations exist because I've enabled the Web IDE and I've also enabled workflow already. So I'm not going to go through and bore you with me enabling these services. In order to use workflow, we need the Web IDE and we need the portal service as well, so that we can, see. Use the standard apps that we get subscribed to for looking at workflow definitions and looking at workflow instances and creating new instances of those definitions. And also there's the My Inbox app as well, which we get access to as well. So I've set up a Fiori Launchpad portal site shortly. and we'll do that. So that's okay. So we'll create a destination, new destination. Now, again, by the way, I don't see anybody saying what OPU stands for. It stands for Occasional Platform User. And I think the philosophy behind that name, OPU, was that Gateway was for a new generation of, or a newly defined group of people who would use the platform, SAP, occasionally rather than power users, and therefore wanted a simpler UI, a web-based UI, that was provisioned by and facilitated by more open standard-based APIs, OData, that also masked the complexity of and the obscurity of perhaps some of the back-end system field names and made them simpler. So OPU, if you ever wondered what the hell OPU means in the OData path info parts of the URL, that's what it stands for, Occasional Platform User. Anyway, I don't know about you, but one of the things that I always wonder about is it better to define a destination to a specific endpoint, like this shop OData service, or a more generic endpoint? For example, the whole of the OData service services that are available in ES5, or even the whole of ES5. I guess it depends on your circumstance, but for the sake of this workshop, I think we'll create a destination that is specifically relating to this shop. Is it there? This shop service. So why don't we call it like shop info or something? Shop service of type HTTP. So HTTP as opposed to LDAP, mail, RFC and everything. Ronnie, makes so much sense and makes me even sadder when I have to argue not to expose field names and rather use... Yes! Yeah, so that was actually a real driving force, not just behind the name OPU, but also behind the philosophy of what Gateway, i.e. the implementation of the OData service on an ABAP stack, what that was all about, to make it simpler and to make it more palatable to developers who are maybe developing front ends or developing other systems that integrated using OData. Especially if those developers were not normally using SAP systems and were not used to the SAP naming conventions and so on. So yeah, absolutely. So the description is shop. Let's say code jam shopping. Code jam shopping. Why not? And the URL, okay, is going to be related to this. So it's virtual ES5. Okay, and we're exposing it. There we go. Yes, let's just see. Yeah, virtual ES5. Um, 8,000 SAP OPU OData SAP. Oh, I'll just copy it from here. There. Okay, that looks good. Now, proxy type is not internet. I mean, yes, we're only pretending that ES5 is on-prem. It's really available on the internet, but for the sake of the code jam. Oh, by the way, we're coming up to the top of the hour. It's 9:59. If you have to leave now, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to carry on for another half an hour. This is going to be the first time I've done more than an hour, so it's quite exciting. So if you have to go, that's cool. Thank you very much for joining. And I'll see you next time. But if not, stay. Have me on in the background. One of the biggest struggles I experience, ABAPers creating OData services refusing to simplify. Yeah. I guess the transition from a pure SAP-centric, internal-looking, inward-looking, internal-facing world the transition from that to the world of open source and the wider world of non-SAP developers, is for some folks maybe harder than others. But there's no excuse not to start thinking, outside the box, as it were, outside the premise. But yeah, okay. So we changed the proxy type from internet to the only other option, which is on-premise, and therefore we get another field, location ID. Now, what do I call the location? Here we go. It's SAP CC Docker. There we go. And I'm going to use authentication, basic authentication. This is my ES5. And this is, I'll add another property here because we want to specify that the SAP client is 002. Let's save that. Okay. So we've created a destination called shop service. Let's see if that works. So, and refusing to name the properties as they should be. Yes, it is a culture shift. Yeah, it is a culture shift. I mean, I don't mind saying that I still do like the 5-character German acronym-based field names, but that's because I'm old-fashioned and it reminds me of the good old days of R2 when I was first discovering this wonderful world of SAP software. But of course, we can't sort of impose those field names on our colleagues anymore. Sorry, I missed that before. Yes, nice point, Helmut. And that really is a nice way of thinking about this, because you can still, if you want to, you can still write the heavy lifting any way you want, but then you have an abstraction layer over the top of that at the OData level. So, for example, in the data provider layer, all you're doing is really calling the heavy lifting of whatever that is. It could be RFCs, could be BAPIs, could be classes, whatever. But yeah, great point. Yes. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking, and we want to try this out. We want to try this out as simply as possible. So I'm going to go to the Web IDE, and where is it? Full stack, and let's go to service. Okay, nice and empty, which is good. Now, I do have, rather than me type it in, I have got this thing that I want to recreate. I've got it in another Web IDE somewhere. I think it's this one. That coffee is really nice. And I've also got, I don't know whether you saw on Twitter before that. So tell me, someone who's still on here, how to properly pronounce this. Stroopwafel? It was so big I had to leave half of it and I'll have the other half later. Here we go, bridge, that's the one. Yeah, okay, so you'll see what I mean in a minute. Let's copy all this and then go back here and let's create a new app, but I'm just going to create it literally as a folder called well, we could call it bridge, I suppose, but destination test, destination proxy. There we go. See, that naming things, that is definitely a hard thing in computer science, right? Destination proxy. And in there, all I'm going to do is create this neoapp.json file. And I don't want all of those, I only want one. Actually, shall we call it ES5? Let's just see. let's take that ES5 one anyway. If we say, what's it called again? Let's go back to shop service, that's it. Shop service is the destination. Let's call the path shop service as well. Now these two things don't need to be the same. I don't like that font. Let's just save that a second and make it a little bit bigger. No, not extensions. What am I doing? Code editor. Font size. God, it's already 14. Oh, it's big. There's a theme, font. Oh, it was Menlo already. Okay. Preferences have been saved. That's a little bit bigger. Yeah, should be all right. Oh, yeah, you know, Leo, this one here, we have them in the UK as well, but they're quite hard. This one is like as though it's been made about 5 minutes ago. It's so soft and amazing. You don't even have to put it on top of your coffee to warm up. Yes, and also bitterballen, which I had last night, which are amazing. Yeah, I think I might have to live here. Shop service backend. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're defining in this, you know, specially named file neoapp.json. I'm sure you've seen this in other applications and other contexts. What we're defining here is a mapping between paths that are requested within the context of this app, which is, you know, it's not an app yet, but when we deploy it, it'll become an app on SAP Cloud Platform. And it will use, in this case, it will use the shop service destination to resolve any requests to something starting slash shop service. Okay. Why don't we call it my shop, just to sort of underline that these two things are not the same. Let's call it my shop. Okay, so yeah, shop service backend. Now let's deploy this. That's all there is in there. I hope this works. Deploy to SAP Cloud Platform. Yes, that's what we want to do. New application. Yeah, everything's the same. Destination proxy. Okay, we don't want to do anything else. It's been successfully deployed. Let's go back here, and it should now appear in HTML5 applications. It's not a Java application. There, destination proxy. That's the result of the deployment. Let's go to this search thing here. Let's have a look. Nice. Okay, so let's move this out of the way for a second. This is what I was hoping to see. First of all, that it's deployed and there's an active version that's started. But more importantly, one of the coder's hardest problems, naming things, is it naming things caching and off by one errors. What's this? Ah, yes, classic. Yeah, unable to name a variable, they go bust. Brilliant. I'm always amazed how you find all these memes, pictures, and comics and strips and everything, Ronnie. Don't need that anymore. Here we go. So it's seen the neoapp.json, seen the roots stanza in there, which is an array of roots, mappings, and it said, okay, yeah, required destination, shop service backend, which is exactly this thing here. And it's mapped it to a sub-account that it's already found. We could actually change that mapping if we wanted to remap. And in the past, I've used that in sort of a single sub-account circumstance where I've got a dev backend and a different dev backend and a different dev backend, and I want to switch between them. I actually switch between them just by changing the destination mapping at the application definition level. So I have multiple destinations to multiple backend systems, and I just change the mapping here, which is like dynamic. It's really cool. Really, the connectivity service of SAP Cloud Platform is a really nicely done thing. I think it's the heart of Cloud Platform in many ways. So anyway, there's a mapping that's been done there. So if we hit this application URL, we should get like a not found or something, right? Let's hit this because there's nothing there. There are no files in there, right? We can actually see the only file that's in the application is the actual neoapp.json file in there, which is there. Ooh. I don't usually use Firefox, but it looks like it's got a nice sort of JSON parser here, raw data. There we go. That's what we've defined. Now, and there's ways, of course, in the neoapp.json file to specify what files should not be exposed. But by default, everything is exposed, I think. So now, if we say /myshop, which is, again, I'm pointing to the screen with my finger. If we say my shop, that's a path that should now get resolved by this route mapping to the shop service backend. So let's just see what happens. Amazing, it worked. So what we've done there is, oh, I don't want to do that, do I? What we've done there is proved to ourselves that the destination definition is correct, and we're also seeing that the cloud connector definition, which is it's on here, isn't it? Is working as well, and this virtual to internal system mapping with the resource there is working as well, and everything's passing through. So actually, we're using a cloud platform URL. Here's like this app destination proxy. The request is going from my browser to the cloud platform to that destination via the connectivity proxy mechanism. It looks at the definition, it sees that it's an on-premise destination endpoint, sees that the location ID, where's the destination definition? Let's go back to, let's have another one of those there, and let's go back to here, destination. It sees that it's an on-premise destination, looks at the location ID, looks in the cloud connector to say, oh yes, there it is, I'll go down this tunnel, and connects to virtual ES5, which is exposed, and etc., etc. So we've proved that the destination definition is working. Okay, awesome. Is anybody still around? I think it's still around. Let me just check to see if I'm still okay on OBS. Yep, still okay, still broadcasting. Wonderful. And let me just check here. Yep, still excellent in terms of stream health, which is always good. Good, okay. So the next thing I think we want to do is fire up the web IDE or refire up the web IDE and start trying to consume that same destination endpoint. I mean, actually, let's go back here. Let's go one step further and say, for example, well, we can see here, this is the OData service document that tells us what types of things we've got. We've got main categories, suppliers. Yeah, let's go for suppliers. If we say now, well, you can see the metadata document as well, just in case you're more comfortable with the metadata document. I don't know about you, but this reminds me of like the raw XML in Chrome as well, I think. I just hate this font and the monospaced, sorry, not non-monospaced font here. I find it really hard to read, as well as the fact that it's XML. But anyway, if we go to the suppliers entity set, there we go. And in fact, we'll oh, that's better. Oh, what was that? Metadata cache on a hub system outdated. Ah. There we go, that's better. Nice. Talpa. Okay, so these are all suppliers. Delbont Industries. Who doesn't know Delbont Industries? Cool. Okay, so we'll try and consume that from a service task inside a new workflow definition. So let's try and start. I think these steps are good for the code jam. So here we go. Yeah. Now, in order to start building workflow definitions, we need Web IDE. But we also need, within the Web IDE, we need to turn on an extension. I think I might have. There we go, yes. Workflow editor, let's turn that on. Okay, refresh. Ooh, did you see that Times New Roman flash of unstyled font then? That's quite interesting. My machine is getting really hot. I do know that a number of live streamers use two machines. I don't think that's absolutely necessary for me. But they have a streaming machine and a machine that they're doing their stuff on, whether that's gaming or whether it's coding or something. I can hear the fan on this, and one of my all-time annoyances is fan noise. We'll go into that another time. Anyway, okay, so we've now got the workflow editor extension. So let's create a new workflow project and try and consume that endpoint. Now, have we got, however, in the services, let's go to user experience category, portals. I did enable a portal service. I can't remember whether I've got anything here or not, because of course what we want to do now is have the ability, once we've defined the workflow, once we've created the workflow definition, we want to be able to instantiate instances of that definition to actually have something run. So we need the UI to do that in the form of the standard application. So let's see. Create new site. Oh no, I did create one. There we go. Yes, there it is. Cloud Platform Workflow Code Jam. Yeah, I did do some setup. There we go. So this is the 4 standard. If we have a look here, the 4 standard apps. There we go. That we get because when I configured or when I set up workflow, I got assigned automatically. Well, let's have a look. Where are we here? If we have a look at the workflow service, which is down here, if we have a look at the configuration section, in the roles, my user ID, P2000, whatever it is assigned to all these different roles here. Okay, and that combined with the role assignment in the portal effectively gives me access to these, and I can pin them to my. I said pin them to my home, right? So when I go back here in my home, I've got all these 4 apps. So of course, there's nothing in my inbox right now. These are all the sort of the user tasks. I've got no workflow definitions either, and of course, therefore, I should have no workflow instances, right? And this is quite new. I've only seen this when I set this up. I've not looked at workflow for a while. If, by the way, if you're interested, discovering SCP workflow. I did do a series just over a year ago. There it is, there's the series. If you're interested, check out that series where I go through all sorts of different bits and pieces, and these are links to blog posts in the SAP community, all sorts of bits and pieces here. I think I even use some Google Cloud Platform stuff, and there's some Firebase stuff as well if you're interested. So yeah, a lot of fun putting that together. Anyway, so what's that there? What am I doing? Oh yeah, so this is a relatively new to me app, which is, I suppose, a slightly better way of viewing and being able to filter and clear and sort all your different tasks if you're a power user. So what we want to do is create a workflow definition. I think, yeah, we'll use the last bit of time to create a workflow definition. So where's my Web IDE? Here we go. So workspace, right click, new, project from template, category, business process management. There we go, that's where it is, workflow project. Let's call it shop stuff. Naming things is hard. So the workflow itself, let's call it the same thing, shop stuff. So the name on the previous part of the wizard was the name of the project, and this is the name of the workflow itself. You can have multiple workflow definitions in a project. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got. Need more coffee. There we go, nice. So I do like the editor, the workflow editor in Web IDE, really nice. Since I last played with this in any great detail, we now have these workflow forms, which are an awesome way to, without any UI5 coding, build forms to be used in the user tasks parts of workflow. So we'll maybe play around with that next time. So there we go. The project is called Shop Stuff, and we've got this Shop Stuff workflow, which is this thing here that's opened automatically. If you're not familiar with the workflow editor, you've got all sorts of different bits and pieces here. One of the main things is the list of types of tasks. There's the user tasks, which is basically the things that appear in the inbox, as in, make this choice, approve this, deny, reject this, confirm this, whatever. And they show up in my inbox or the expert view as well. Service tasks are for connecting to APIs. So that's what we're going to be using to connect to our shop service that we've just defined as a destination. Script tasks allow us to manipulate the context of the running workflow instance. So of course, as you can imagine, when you instantiate the workflow, you might send it some data. So that data needs to be stored in the context of the workflow instance. And of course, when if it makes a call, which we're going to be doing to an endpoint and to pull data back, that data needs to be stored somewhere, so we can store it also in that context. So the script task enables you to write JavaScript to access and manipulate that context. It's basically just an object, right? A map. A mail task, guess what that does? Allows you to send mails. Leave that for now. So let's create a service task and stick it here between start and end. Let's do the minimum possible, the simplest thing that could possibly work. Let's go into the service task yeah, we'll need to expose it somehow. But anyway, let's do the service task. Destination. So you can choose a destination, or you can choose, you can go to the Business API Business Hub, or we can choose a predefined destination here. One thing I wish they would do, and I have asked them this, is change the way that they write the title of each of these pages in the cockpit, because here I can't tell the difference between, what's that one and what's that one? They look the same. Why not have the most significant part, as in this is configure service roles, and this is destination proxy at the start, so we can see it at the tab. Anyway, destination proxy. What I want to do, yeah, here we go. It's the name, isn't it? Shop service. That's the destination we're looking for. Let's make that bigger again. Destinations. You've all gone very quiet. Shop service, shop service. Are you still okay? I'm going to assume you are. We'll do another 5 minutes. Shop service, right. Okay, so in the web IDE, we say shop, oops, shop service. The path, well, if we look at the shop service definition, the path is everything after that. So basically, it's everything after that. Okay, Srikanth, thank you for joining. We're not only going to do another 5 minutes, but thank you for joining and see you next time. Yes. Ronnie's got to go as well. Perfect. Okay, well, tell you what. Before let's leave it a little bit in suspense. And yeah, let's come back next time. I said I'd do another half hour. We're almost at the half hour stage. So why don't we leave this now and we'll continue defining the service task next time. Let me know in the Slack channel whether you want to continue with this or what, whether it's been interesting or not. And yeah, just any feedback, of course, always welcome. The feedback is, what is it called? Feedback, episode specific feedback there. So please put some feedback in there if you can. And yeah, until next time, thank you so much, and thanks for your patience. Your patience and everything with this sort of system reset. You know, I feel a lot better in terms of getting back on track. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.